सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. In the very first 7 mantras of the short Amrita Bindu Upanishad, the Shruti has covered the entire Moksha Marga. And it began with the famous mantra, Manaha eva karanam bandha mokshayoho manushyanam. How this mind is the cause for bondage because of its Vishaya Asakti and because of self-ignorance. And the mind becomes the cause for liberation and release by gaining self-knowledge. So, Shruti has said, may one make the mind nirvishayam, that is free from the rajas of the binding desires. And then with the nirvishayam manas, may one make it niruddham manas. Niruddha manas is mastered. And how does one do that? Shruti said to direct this purified Shuddha manas inwards in pure contemplation to abide at the source, the core tattva. That is the understanding of Tat Jagat Karanam Brahma Aham Asmi. That is, I am indeed the nature of fullness and limitlessness. I am not this Bhuta Sangaha, this perishable aggregate of the Pancha Mahabhutas. So this state is called Sahaja Sthitihi. Sahaja Sthitihi means the effortless abidance in the natural state of being. But what generally happens? Now Yamadeva has told Nachiketa in the Kathopanishad, Paran Chikhani Vetrinat Swayam Bhuhu Parang Pashyati Na Antaratman. O Nachiketa, it looks like Bhagavan has made all the sense organs in the mind very extroverted, always chasing the worldly goals and objects. But Kaschit Dhiraha Pratyatmanamaikshat Avrita Chakshuhu Amritatvam Ichan. But rare mumukshus like you, Nachiketa, desire Amritatvam, and they want to turn inwards and claim the Pratyatmana Darshanam. So, this is the focus in this Upanishad. Now, the problem is how to turn the mind inwards. Yeah, because the Shruti herself says in Mantra 6 that this Atma Tattvam is nachintyaha. It is unknowable, inconceivable. It is not an object of thought. It is not available for the pramanas, the instruments of direct perception, comparison, inference, multi-step inference. So perception itself is out, is cancelled. So how can we turn the mind inwards? It is not a prameya vastu, aprameyaha, agocharaha. So in mantra 6, Shruti says, chintyameva. Still, one has to dwell upon it. May one do atma vichara, atma chintanam. And how? By shravana, manana, nididhyasanam. Approaching the Guru and engaging in this triple sadhana, one will gain that Samskrita manas in which the jnana chakshuhu is awakened, the eye of discriminative knowledge. And then one has to also free the mind from pakshapata. Pakshapata means what? means all the bias that one has, the erroneous conclusions, the concepts we have about Atma. We know what the nature of the mind is to divide and fragment, classify, categorize. If a thing is not black, it's white. If it's not good, it's bad. If it's not beautiful, it's ugly. The natural tendency. But in this case, the mind has to become pakshapata vinirmuktam, free from all the bias. I'm as good as the body, as good as the mind, the prana, the senses, or maybe shunyam. So these are all the points of view. So when the mind is free from all these conclusions and does not want to grasp the Atma, but the mind is purified and settles down, then and only then can one discover that unknowable reality, which is the cause of everything. And that Shruti says is you the Atma. Now, Now, still, the point remains is what to meditate upon. Yeah, what to meditate upon. So then in mantra 7, the Shruti gives the powerful Omkara Upasana. Yeah, Omkara Upasana, and says that you take Om as the Alambanam. Alambana means a perch, a support for the mind. Chant Om, do Swaradhyanam. Om. 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 Three matras for Om. And then it is followed by a silence, the trailing silence. That's the fourth. Again, in the Kathopanishad, how Yama praises the Omkara Upasana. In fact, that is the first Upadesha Yama gives to Nachiketa before the detailed Upadesha. And says, Etadhyevaksharam Brahma, Etadhyevaksharam Param, Etadhyevaksharam Jnatva, Yo Yadikshati Tasya Tat. If you meditate on Om as the Alambanam, then that Upasaka will get everything. Yeah, Etadalambanam Shreshtam, Etadalambanam Param, Etadalambanam Jnatva, Brahmaloke Mahiyate. So such an upasaka, such a mumukshu is praised in Brahmaloka and will get everything. So as an upasaka, when we meditate on the sound of Om, what meditation is that? Swaradhyanam. In other words, Saguna Brahma Dhyanam. We saw how Om covers the entire Jagat, all the Namarupas, the three Aksharas, Akara, Ukara, Makara, stand for the Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti Avastha. So chanting Om as the sound, Pratika, then that is called Saguna Brahma Dhyanam. But then Shruti says, now shift the awareness from the sound to the trailing silence or the gap between the two Oms, the silence. And that silence is Nirguna Brahma Tattvam. That is the core Tattvam. And the longer we dwell on that, we will arrive at a point when there is only pure being. There is only pure awareness. And now Shruti says that is what you have to discover as a mumukshu. Start with the Swaradhyanam and then let it merge into the Aswaradhyanam. Start with Saguna Brahma like a mantra or a shloka or any vigraha also, like we do in Lalita Sahasranamam, Sindhura Aruna Vigraham Trinayanam Manikya Mauliswara. That is a Saguna Dhyanam. But then let it take you to Nirguna contemplation, into the silence. And that silence is not nothing. That is Bhavaha Eva. In that mantra, again the Shruti says. So this Om is such a powerful alambanam to meditate upon. And because it will take us to the Niralambanam Dhyanam. And that is the goal. Etat Jnanam, Etat Dhyanam. This is the goal. And all else, Shruti said, is what? Sheshaha Nyayaha. Everything else is like a support structure to arrive at this goal. The prakriyas, the drishtantas, and the logical approach, all of it is needed, but only to arrive at this unknowable reality, which is the truth of my nature, which is unknowable, no doubt, inconceivable, but yet I discover it as being. So the message here is one can only be the Atma. One can never know it as an object. Okay? Now let's move on to the next mantra, and that is the eighth mantra. Yeah, the eighth mantra. Can you all see it? Yeah. तदेव निष्कलं ब्रह्म निर्विकल्पं निरञ्जनम् तदेव निष्कलं ब्रह्म निर्विकल्पं निरञ्जनम् तद्ब्रह्मामिति तद्ब्रह्माहमिति ज्ञात्वा ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते ध्रुवम् तदेव निष्कलं ब्रह्म निर्विकल्पं निरञ्जनम् तत्ब्रह्माहमिति ज्ञात्वा ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते ध्रुवम् तदेव, that alone. Which alone? The silence. The silence that is in between the Oms, that is the Adhara Adhishtanam for the Jagat, the pure witnessing awareness. Tadeva Nishkalam Brahma, Nirvikalpam Niranjanam, Tat Brahma Aham Iti, Jnatva Brahma Sampadyate Dhruvam. So now the Shruti is describing the nature of the goal. Yeah, the nature of the goal, and says Tadeva, that state of being is Nishkalam Brahma. Now we have seen these words in Viveka Chudamani also. Nishkala means without kala. Now what is a kala? A kala is an aspect or an attribute. They say Sri Krishna was a Shodasha Kala Purusha. That is complete and full manifestation of the 16 kalas like Kshama, Vairagyam, Jnanam, Balam, Viryam, beauty, Saundaryam, etc. So, but Brahma has no attributes, no guna, jati, kulam, gotram, lingam, desha, kala, nama, rupa. It is just limitless. Because if you have a kala, a guna or a quality, then it will only define and limit that thing. But we know Brahma is coming from the Brihat Brah Dhatu, which means big. How big? Limitlessly big. And only one without any attributes, any guna can be limitlessly big. So Tadeva Nishkalam Brahma. So that silence, that stands for the Nishkalam Brahma. Brahma without any kalas, which is without guna, nirguna. Then what else? Nirvikalpam. Nirvikalpa means without vikalpa. Vikalpa means options or differences, bheda. So here again, vikalpa is, all these criteria that we see in the Vyavahara, guna, jati, kriya, kulam, gotram, all these aspects by which, two things are differentiated. That is called vikalpa. But Brahma is advitiyam, and so nirvikalpam, in which there is no kalpas, no vikalpas. Then we come to niranjanam. Niranjanam means pure, nitya shuddha. Now, what does pure mean? Pure means that which is changeless and that which is unaffected. We say this is pure stainless steel. or this is pure gold, and gold can never rust, or it is a Teflon, pan in which nothing sticks. Yeah. So, like that, we have to imagine Brahma is free from kartritva, bhoktritva, and hence free from karma phalam, papa, punyam. So, it is not affected by the world situations, people arriving, people departing, favorable situations, unfavorable situations, papa, punyam. Brahma is the pure silence, which is the witnessing presence. Then, Tat Brahma Aham Iti. So, one has to do Atma Vichara like this. Such a Brahma, which is Nishkalam, Nirvikalpam, limitless, fullness, I am. The Atma is the nature of this Brahma. Now, look at this second line. Tat Brahma Aham Iti. Is this not the Mahavakya right here? Yeah. So aham, the jiva, is equated to tat, the silence. Tat nishkalam nirvikalpam brahma. And this is the Mahavakyam right here. Tat brahma ahamiti jnatva. Having understood this, what? Brahma sampatyate dhruvam. Nishchayena. Definitely. Dhruvam Brahma sampatyate. One gains Brahma Tattvam, not as an object that is away from me, but the knowledge of Brahma as oneself. I have discovered my true nature and met the most important person, that is oneself. Sanityopalabdhi swarupo ha atma. The text that we're going to take up on Saturday, Hasta Malakiyam, has this chorus after every shloka. Sanityopalabdhi swarupo ha atma. Sanityopalabdhi swarupaha atma. That is that which is already gained and which is already accomplished fact. And I have come to know. Brahma sampadyate dhruvam. So I am that. And so that crystal clarity comes to this mumukshu who pursues the Atma Vichara, Atma Chintanam, till one arrives at the B. तदेव निष्कलं ब्रह्म निर्विकल्पं निरञ्जनम् तत्ब्रह्माहमिति ज्ञात्वा ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते ध्रुवम्. Next, mantra number 9. निर्विकल्पमनन्तं च हेतुदृष्टान्तवर्जितम्. निर्विकल्पमनन्तं च हेतुदृष्टान्तवर्जितम्. अप्रमेयमनादिं च अप्रमेयमनादिं च यज्ञात्वा मुच्यते बुधः. यज्ञात्वा मुच्यते बुधः. Again, familiar words to describe the Brahma Tattvam. Nirvikalpam, Anantam, Cha Hetu Drishtanta Varchitam, Aprameyam, Anadim, Cha Yajnatva Muchyate Buddha. I'm sure all these words are familiar to all of you. Nothing new here. Nirvikalpam. We just saw this word in the previous mantra. Nirvikalpam is free from concepts. Free from concepts that Brahma is like this, is like that. We cannot build an opinion or have even a point of view on Brahma Tattvam because it is pure existence. Nirvikalpam. Then Anantam. Anantam is limitless. Limitless means what? Not subject to time, space, and object wise. This is called Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinnatvam. Now, in deep sleep where we don't even have any body notion, mind notion, how can that be family, time, space in the world? So, are we not the limitless Brahma, original consciousness, every night in deep sleep? Yes. So, the moment the mind becomes active, then Vikalpas come in, and then all those attributes and the identifications, they are as though confining us, limiting us to being as good as the body, as good as this role that we are playing. No? So this is what Upanishad wants to negate. Neti neti. Yeah. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, or the extensions to the anatma world. So that is the meaning of anantam. Then hetu drishtanta varjitam. Brahma is free from varchitam, from hetu, cause, and drishtanta. Drishtanta is analogies. Now the word hetu means what? Cause. Hetu is also used in the Tarka Shastra. The Tarka Shastra is an important Upaveda branch of the Vedas dealing with logic. Like supposing, I see smoke in the distance. Then what will I conclude? The hetu is fire. If I see a tree is karyam, hetu is seed. So like that, can we conclude that the Brahma has a cause? No. We just saw in the Viveka Chudamani, Sadasat Vilakshanam. That is, Brahma Tattvam is neither karyam, effect, nor karanam, the cause. It simply is the causeless cause. So that is the meaning of hetu varjitam, the first word. Then it is drishtanta varjitam. Now, hetu varjitam also means that we can never prove the existence of Brahma using logic. Science these days is proving a lot of things, right? They're probing into the matter. But science can only experiment on what? The principle of matter, anatma. Even the most subtle, most advanced instrument, MRI, CT scan, ultrasound, cannot measure Atma. But quantum physics comes very close to Vedanta. No? You may have heard that in quantum physics, they have reached the conclusion that what is observed depends on the observer. That is what even Vedanta says. Yeah, drishyatvat. That is, the drishyam depends on the drik. So there is an interdependence. Something exists because I exist. I am, and therefore I think, I see, I feel, and everything is observed. And that is why one can never be the observed. One is the observer. Body is observed, I cannot be the body. Mind is observed, I cannot be the mind. So drigeva natu drishyate. So hetu varjitam. There is Brahma Tattva cannot be established by logic, reasoning, and scientific experiments, and it is simply causeless. Then, Drishtanta Varjita. Now, Drishtanta means an analogy. Have you not often seen in the Bhagavad Gita that Atma is likened to space and Prakasha? Prakasha and Akasha are the two analogies which come very close to describing Atma. But here Shruti says, no, even they are limited. Yeah, Brahma is beyond that. It is Drishtanta Varjitam. Like space. From space, we learn the indivisibility of Atma and the all accommodating nature. But space also arrives and departs. There's no space in deep sleep. And so, Hetu Drishtanta Varjitam is the nature of Brahma. Then what else? Aprameyam, very familiar word for us. Brahma Tattvam is not a prameya vastu. It is not an object of thought, which I can know, like a flower or this pen. So, for knowing anything in Aparavidya, there needs to be a triputi, knower, known, process of knowing. But Atma Tattvam is not a prameya vastu, aprameyam. Then, because Atma Vastu was never produced, never produced, it's neither Karyam nor Karanam. Anadi, Anadi Kala. This is the definition of Sat. Trikaleshu Yattishtati Tat Satyam Brahma. That which is non-negatable in the three periods of time is Satyam Brahma. And hence Anadi. There is no beginning for Atma. And there is no end also for Atma. Anantam Anadi. Then, Chayat Nyatva, knowing this, such is the nature of Brahma, which is this Atma, what Buddha Muchyate. The wise person, this Mukshu, this Jnani, is freed. Freed from the Anatma identifications. Why does one identify with Anatma? Remember, there is Avaranam. The Atma is veiled by the power of avidya, Maya. And because it's veiled, there's a projection. So I take myself to be the body, the mind, Mr. So and so, Mrs. So and so. But here, through this Atma Chintanam, Atma Vichara, Yat Jnatva Buddha Muchyate. The wise person is released. Gita, we saw this word in the Gita, Nateshu Ramate Buddha. The wise Buddha does not revel in the sense objects which are perishable, which are agama payanaha, arriving and departing. Nirvikalpamanantam cha hetu drishtanta aprameyamanadin cha yajnatva muchyate buddhaha. So now we are beginning to see the nature of that goal. What do we mean by moksha jnanam? And the nature of the jnani who enjoys that status. Atmani eva atmana tushta. So we are seeing the nature of Sthita Prajnaha, in fact, in the few verses, current verses. Mantra 10. Na nirodho na chotpattihi, na nirodho na chotpattihi, na buddho na cha sadhakaha, na baddho na cha sadhakaha, na mumukshurna vai muktaha, न मुमुक्षुर्न वै मुक्तः इत्येषा परमार्थता इत्येषा परमार्थता. How many nas do you see here? 6, I think. Na. So the na, is nanj. Nanj means negation. That which negates. So we have seen this many times, how the nature of Brahma can best be described only in the language of negation. Neti neti. Here it's the same meaning here. Na nirodhaha na cha utpattihi. So for this Buddha that we just saw earlier, there is no nirodhaha anymore. Nirodhaha means what? Mastery, shamaha, discipline, restraint. In fact, if you have studied the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, it begins with Atha Yoga Anushasanam. Let us begin the study of yoga, Patanjali Yoga. Second verse is Yogaha Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha. What is the meaning of yoga? It is the Nirodha, mastery of the vrittis in the chit, in the mind. And this Shruti also in mantra 2 or 3 said the same thing. Samyak Niruddham Manas. So the mind that is not dictating, the mind that is settled and one-pointed and able to turn inwards in contemplation is a Niruddham Manas. But now for this Jnani, na Nirodhaha. For this Jnani, there is no Nirodhaha, means there is no need for mastery. There's no need for mastery. Why? Because the goal has been achieved. The goal of perfect mastery, stillness and silence. That does not mean the jnani is inactive. Despite activity, there is naishkarmyam, silence, and there is actionlessness. That is the idea here. Na nirodhaha. So this mastery, when we talk about mastery of the thought forms, the vrittis, it does not mean suppressing or ignoring or neglecting. No, it is a cognitive alertness in the mind. And the mind is filled with objectivity. very alert as the waves rise in the mind, and we either go along with it if we have to, or let it settle back in the mind. So, such a contemplative mind, this jnani has already achieved, and hence what? Na nirodha. Does not need to do any sadhanas anymore. Then, nacha utpattihi. Utpattihi means neither is thought necessary for this jnani. Now, what kind of thought? See, the jnani, does he have to remind himself, I am Brahma, Tat Brahma, Jagat Karanam Brahma, Ahamasmi. So, many acharyas say, do you go about saying, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm a woman? It is so well entrenched, so obvious and evident that we don't go about, proclaiming that. So too, this jnani is aware of his true identity. So na utpattihi, there is no additional effort or thought needed for this jnani. Then na baddhaha. Baddhaha means not bound, not bound. So this is very clear that this jnani is not bound, and then the next also goes in pairs. Nacha sadhakaha. This jnani is not a sadhakaha like us, mumukshu. A mumukshu. Why does a mumukshu pursue this moksha vidya? Because there is an acute sense of bondage. I want to be free. So there is a bondage. And so to claim the freedom, one becomes a sadhakaha. But the jnani is na baddhaha na sadhakaha. Because the jnani is free from avarana, free from vikshepa, free from avidya maya, and he abides effortlessly in the sahaja sthitihi. So, na baddhaha na sadhakaha. So, in short, there are no do's and don'ts for this jnani. So, the Shastra says that is the ignorance and bondage real? Is it really there? No. If the bondage was real, there is no hope for any solution. Because the bondage is in the mind, it is imagined, it is superimposed, it's a adhyasa. And so we are only trying to remove the veil, the adhyasa, with all the study that we are doing and to discover the Atma Tattvam. So remember that cow story I once told you, that how in a Gurukulam, the cows were not tied and the Shishya was worried that they will run away. And he does not have a rope. So the Guru says, pretend that you are tying the cows. And he made the gesture. And then the next morning, he comes to the Guru and says, the cows are not moving. Then the Guru said, you tied them, did you not? Now untie them. Shishya says, no, I did not really tie them. No, you pretended to tie them. Now you pretend to untie them. So unties. So what that story really means is that the bondage is imagined, and it is superimposed. But for the jnani, na baddhaha, na sadhaka. The jnani does not have to do any more shravanam, mananam, nididhyasana because he has removed the veil of ajnanam. So that is the meaning here. So the jnani, may not do asana, pranayama, go to temples, do pujas, do tapas and fast. No, because all these spiritual disciplines have fulfilled their purpose for a jnani. He may do them, but he does not have to do them because the goal is already arrived at. So the first line is all about these negations for a jnani. Jnani is neither sadhaka nor bound, and nor is needs to think and meditate on anything, nor is something to be given up, renounced, na nirodha. What else? Na mumukshuhu, na vai muktaha. And this jnani is neither mumukshu anymore, nor muktaha. Because he is nitya muktaha. He is already free. So, mumukshu is like us. Mumukshu was striving to get the clarity, the vision. But after gaining the vision, no, then this jnani is a nitya mukta purusha. So, na mumukshuha, na vai muktaha. Iti esha paramarthata. This is the highest truth. Now, reading this mantra, we would all be reminded of Nirvana Shatkam. Remember the 6 verses of Nirvana Shatkam attributed to Adi Shankaracharya, and in response to the question posed by his guru Govinda Padacharya in the Narmada Valley. The guru says, Kosi, who are you? And the 6 verses follow, and it is full of negation. Shankaracharya says, Mano buddhyahankara chittani naham, nacha ghrana netre nacha vyoma, all these. I'm not the 5 elements, I'm not the 5 sense organs, I'm not manas chittam buddhyahankara, I'm neither guru nor shishya, I have no parents, I have no goals, artha, kama, dharma, moksha is not for me, there's no birth, no death for me, all negation. That's called the song of liberation, the negation. So something similar here also. न निरोधो न चोत्पत्तिः न बद्धो न च साधकः न मुमुक्षुर्न वै मुक्तः इत्येषा परमार्थता. 11th. And it continues in this way to describe the nature of Brahma and the Jnani, Brahma Jnani. Mantra 11. Eka eva एक एवात्मा मन्तव्यः जाग्रत् स्वप्न सुषुप्तिषु स्थानत्रय व्यतीतस्य पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते एक एवात्मा मन्तव्यः जाग्रत् स्वप्न सुषुप्तिषु स्थानत्रय व्यतीतस्य पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते. एकः एव आत्मा मन्तव्यः जाग्रत् स्वप्न सुषुप्तिषु स्थानत्रय व्यतीतस्य पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते. So this is like a Phalashruti now. Now, how many Atmas are there? Ekaha. Yeah. But right now in the Zoom windows, we see many Jivatmas. So many Jivatmas and so many Nama Rupas, dimensions are there, activities, Jati, Kula, Gotram, Linga. Linga is only one, I think, Sri Linga. Yeah. So no male student has joined. So, but here we're talking about the Tattvam. The essential nature is one, Ekaha, like space. Space appears divided, but there is only one universal space. So, to Ekaha eva Atma Mantavyaha, may one dwell upon this fact that there is only one Atma. But there are many identities. We all have so many IDs, is it not? Voter card, passport, PAN card, Aadhaar card, and so many identities, ID cards. But the common ID that we all share is Atma. That is the common identity, and that is the truth of oneself. Ekaha eva Atma mantavyaha. Now, am I the Atma in the waking state, like right now? Or in the dream state? Or in the deep sleep state? All the three. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuptishu. Now, Shastras, the Mandukya Upanishad, gives names also for the Atma in every state. In the waking state, like now, we are all Vishwas. Vishwaha, the waker. The waker who can fully experience the world in to the maximum. The mind is available, sense organs are available, body is available, all the karanas, time, space, jagat, all interactions, vyavahara can continue. So Shastra says you are Vishwa. Then dream state, There seems to be a greater degree of freedom in the dream state. There we are Taijasaha in the dream world. But there is no deliberate action in the dream. Yeah, there is only projection of vasanas. So it is like a bhokta stage. Then Sushupti, of course, we are all prajnaha, sleepers, happily asleep, in the lap of nature, and no samsara, no time, space, no world. In fact, that's the best proof that we are all Atma, Brahma. The deep sleep, shows us this fact, the truth of oneself. So, Jagrat Swapna Sushuptishu Ekaha Eva Atma Mantavyaha. You meditate upon this fact. Then, Sthanatraya Vyatitasya. This Atma Brahma is Sthanatraya Vyatita. Vyatita means beyond, is free from the Sthanatrayam, from these three states, the three avasthas, waking, dream, and deep consciousness. And then for such a person, Sthanatraya Vyatitasya, for this person, that is for whom? For the Buddha, for the Jnani, for the Sutaprajnaha, Punarjanma na vidyate. There is no more return to the cycle of birth and death. See, what has set the motion, what has set the, samsara cycle in progress? Avidya. Avidya, kama, karma, karma phalam, papa punyam, janma. We know the cycle very well. And so once the avidya is removed, the root cause, then there is no more karta, no more bhokta. So punarjanma na vidyate, for the one who has gained self-knowledge. So this ekaha eva is the message here, that tattvam is only one, but it appears varied and diverse. But even in that mosquito, even in the plant, the tree, the celestial, the buffalo, the sinner, the young, the old, the female, the male bodies, in all the upadhis, there is ekaha eva atma. There is only the one indwelling atma. Bhagavad Gita in chapter 13 says, Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. Gita calls that indwelling tattvam as parameshwara, equally. And then the line goes on that in these perishable upadhis, there is the imperishable Paramatma, Parameshwara, indwelling all. So until one realizes that Ishvara Tattvam is oneself, I am the truth of Ishvara, then Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, that will continue, says Acharya. But for the one who has gained the self-knowledge, has achieved the highest Purushartha, then Punarjanma na vidyate. एक एवात्मा मन्तव्यः जाग्रत् स्वप्न सुषुप्तिषु स्थानत्रय विपीतस्य पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते. Let's do one more, the 12th one. एक एव हि भूतात्मा एक एव हि भूतात्मा भूते भूते व्यवस्थितः भूते भूते व्यवस्थितः एकधा बहुधा चैव एकधा बहुधा चैव दृश्यते जलचन्द्रवत् दृश्यते जलचन्द्रवत्. Again, very familiar for us. Same idea here. Ekaha eva hi bhutatma. So this bhutatma or the Atma Tattvam is ekaha, is advitiyam. One. There is only one consciousness, like there is only one space. Yeah, but there can be many pots, there can be many earthenware, but they all enclose the one space. So that is the idea here. Eka eva hi bhutatma. Bhute bhute means in every bhuta. Bhuta is that which is put together, an embodiment. Yeah, a jiva. So in every jiva bhuta, this bhutatma is ekaha eva. Vyavasthitaha dwells. This one in every bhuta, there is the one atma. Now, what about insentient bhutas like the table and the ground? Is the bhutatmas there also? Yes. The atma is all pervasive, whether it is a sentient living jiva endowed with a subtle mind or it is jadam. Jadam. So the Bhutatma, the Atma, is obviously present in the Jadavastus in the form of existence, Sat principle. But a rock or a table cannot know itself. The chair on which I'm sitting, it cannot complain, Swamini, I'm tired of holding you. So, but the Sat aspect is there because I say chair is, table is, flower is. So, Namarupas in the world need an Adhara to exist, to appear, and that is the Satvastu. But those with subtle minds, in addition, have a chit, knowingness, awareness. Yeah, that is the problem actually. So, because there is a mind, the mind becomes sentient, and then there's comparison and contrast, and grief and anxiety. Then we identify with that, and there is bondage. Yeah. So here the message is Eka eva hi bhutatma bhute bhute vivastitaha. The one Atma pervades all the upadhis in every loka, higher loka, lower loka. So be it the worst offender, criminal, same Atma. Saint, Jnanis, Mahatmas, same Atma. What is the difference? The difference is in the packaging, in the mind. So we know that the gunas affect the mind, but the gunas cannot touch the Atma. So this Atma Jnani is gunatitaha, is free from the grip of the gunas also. So the same idea is here also. Then interesting, ekada means the one, bahudha drishyate cha eva. But for a gross mind, for a worldly person, when the worldly person think, oh, there is only one Atma, and salutations to all of them, namaste. No. In fact, this beautiful greeting affirms the vision of Vedanta, namahate. So we do namaste to children, namaste to neighbors, namaste to the sun, to the cow, to everyone. Why? Because of this reason, eka eva hi atma, bhute bhute vivastitaha. So it is the mind that is causing all the differences. So the mind that is rajasic and tamasic will be overambitious and engage in, impure activities. And the sattvic mind will, gain the knowledge. Then the last word is Jalachandravat. Now, Jalachandravat means like the reflection of the moon, Chandra, in water bodies. Very familiar analogy for us. Only difference is we have heard the word Surya. We have seen so many times the Shruti explaining that how the sun is one. The one sun reflects equally in all the pots of water, pots or buckets of water. Now, the reflection can vary, is it not? If the water is muddy, then there is a blurred reflection. And if it is unsteady, reflection is also unsteady. And if it is steady, reflection is steady. So either you take the moon or the sun, same thing. The one Atma is equally present in all the upadhis equally. But the reflections, that is a reflective consciousness, affects them. It is different in different minds. But does anything happen to the moon or the sun by the reflection? No. The reflections can be blurred or murky or diluted, steady or clear, but the sun and the moon are unaffected, changeless. That is the message here. Consciousness is one, but appears as many. And that is why a worldly person with a worldly drishti will conclude, he is bad, he is good, favorable, unfavorable. But the one with a sukshma drishti, what will that jnani do? Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shuni chaiva shrapakecha panditaha samadarshinaha. So only for the one who has gained self-knowledge and who has understood that Atma Brahma is one, Jagat is varied. So for that person, there will be Samadarshanam. There will be the sameness of vision, despite the differences and the bhedas between the embodiments. So that drishti alone, Shastra says, will give one peace, and one will be free from conflict, fear, jealousy, and disharmony. Dvaitadhi bhayam bhavati, we have seen from Taittiriya Upanishad. When there are two, then there is bound to be arguments, conflicts, fear, even fear of the other. But when there's only one, then that ekatvam will lead to harmony and peace. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्छते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ